In our previous class, we discussed about the magnetic field created by a current carrying solenoid. We studied that when current is passed through a current carrying solenoid, it behaves exactly like a bar magnet. The magnetic field created around a solenoid is just similar, identical to that of a bar magnet. We also studied how this understanding about the field created by a solenoid is used in making magnets, both permanent and temporary. The temporary ones are called electromagnets because they are made with the help of electricity, and how these electromagnets find application in so many devices. Now that we understand a bit about magnetic field, that whenever a magnet is kept in a region, whether this magnet is a permanent magnet or a current carrying conductor, there is a magnetic field. So a question might arise that what happens when the magnetic fields are interacting with each other. All of us are quite aware of this very important rule regarding poles of a magnet. We know that opposite poles of two magnets attract and like poles repel. Whenever north and south pole of two magnets are brought close to one another, they attract. Whenever two south poles of two magnets or two north poles of two magnets are brought close to each other, they repel. What actually is happening in this situation? Actually, the two magnets are setting up a magnetic field. The magnetic field is interacting with each other. The magnetic field, due to both the magnets are interacting with each other, due to which whether a repulsive force or an attractive force is acting. And obviously, whenever there is force, there is a possibility of movement. That is what exactly we observe. Like either it is a repulsive force, so the magnets move away from each other, or there is an attractive force when then the magnets move closer. If two bar magnets, the magnetic field due to two bar magnets can interact with each other, due to which a force might exist and some type of motion is observed by us, then what is happening when we are having one bar magnet, and instead of having another bar magnet we replace it with a current carrying conductor? We know that a current carrying conductor also behaves like a magnet. It also sets up a magnetic field around itself. So what is going to happen if we place a current carrying conductor in a magnetic field? What type of force is going to act on that conductor? Whether any motion is possible? What are the factors on which that force is going to be dependent? What is the magnitude and direction of that force? All this will be discussed in today's lesson. So today we will be studying about force acting on a current carrying conductor kept in a uniform magnetic field. Refer to this picture. You can see that an electron beam is passing in between the two poles of the magnet. The region existing between the poles of the magnet, through that the electron beam is passing. And what is happening? From the picture you can very well understand that the beam is getting deflected. Now instead of putting a current carrying conductor, I use this picture because I wanted you to understand that actually the current flow is due to the flow of electrons. So actually this interaction that I am talking about is taking place due to the motion of these electrons and the magnetic field set up by this horseshoe shaped magnet. In this present case we are using a horseshoe shaped magnet. So whatever interaction is taking place, due to that this electron beam is getting deflected. Now deflection obviously is a type of motion, and any type of motion is not possible without a force. So obviously there is some force acting on this electron beam, due to which it is getting deflected from its usual path, its initial path. Like initially it was moving in one direction. As soon as it passed in between the poles of the magnet, you observe that it is getting deflected. Obviously this is the direction of the force. A similar setup is shown here, but right now the difference is that we are considering two different directions for current. In the first case, the current is flowing in one direction, accordingly the force is upward. In the second case, the current is flowing in the reverse direction, the force is downward. So obviously this interaction that is taking place between the magnetic field due to the current carrying conductor and the permanent magnetic field being a vector quantity has a magnitude as well as direction. So depending upon the direction in which the current flows, the direction of the force experienced by the conductor is also going to vary. When a wire carrying a current is placed inside a magnetic field, it experiences a force that causes the wire to move. The force is the result of the interaction between the magnetic field of the magnets and the magnetic field of the wire. Now, in some textbooks, you will find that instead of using the word force, a new term, torque, is used. Now, don't be confused. Torque is actually the rotational analog of force. Whenever the movement is a rotational one, whenever rotational motion is taking place, instead of using the word force, we make use of this word torque. So, if due to the interaction taking place between the magnetic field of the magnet and the magnetic field of the wire is rotating, or rather I should say that the conductor starts rotating, then the word force should be replaced with the word torque. We say that the torque is acting. Due to the effect of the torque, the conductor has started rotating. Now let me show you a bit more clearly how the field is interacting. Now let me zoom the first part of the picture, where you can see that initially the field due to the permanent magnet and the field due to the current carrying conductor has been shown separately. You can see the field due to the permanent magnet, it is from north to south, and the field due to the current carrying conductor, that is the circular one. These two has been shown separately. Now what happens when these two magnetic fields start interacting? That is shown in the second part of the picture, the combined field causing force on conductor. You can see that once the two magnetic fields are interacting, what is the effect of it? The conductor is forced out of the field. Obviously it depends on the direction in which the current is flowing, so that is going to be decisive in deciding in which direction the conductor is going to experience the force. So the direction of the current, the direction of the field is being decisive for the force experienced by the conductor. So for that I will show you one more picture, so that you can see that depending upon the direction of current, how this interaction is taking place. In the first case, you can see there is inward current wire, and in the second case you can see there is an outward current wire and an inward current wire. See, in the first case there were two inward current wires, and in the second case we are having outward current wire, inward current wire. So depending upon that, how the fields are interacting. Okay, so you can see the nature of force. So this entire understanding regarding force experienced by a current carrying conductor when kept in a magnetic field was actually thought of by A.M. Ampere. So A.M. Ampere suggested that if a current carrying conductor produces a magnetic field and exerts a force on a magnet, then a magnet should also exert a force on the current carrying conductor. Forces always exist in pairs. So using the experimental setup, I will show you this setup in a bit more detail, but for the timing just have a look in the experimental setup that was used by Sir A.M. Ampere while conducting this experiment, and how he was able to draw the conclusion, like what usually happens when these two magnetic fields are interacting. So using this setup, he was able to draw some very important conclusions. So what usually he observed? He observed that if an aluminium rod is suspended horizontally by a wire between the poles of a horseshoe magnet and a current is passed through the wire. As you can see in the picture, that a rod AB has been suspended in between the poles of the magnet and current is passed through it, isn't it? So what happens? Aluminium rod is displaced. If the direction of current is reversed, the direction of displacement is also reversed. As I was telling you earlier, that with reversal in the direction of current, the direction of force is reversed, and depending upon the direction of force, obviously the motion, the direction of motion, the direction of displacement is also getting reversed. The force exerted is maximum if the current is perpendicular to the magnetic field. Now this is something that we will also try to understand theoretically, like why the force experienced by the conductor is maximum when it is kept perpendicular to the magnetic field. Talking about the manner in which the interaction is taking place, the direction, for that you may refer to this part of the picture, in which clearly the direction of current, magnetic field and force has been shown. Now for the sake of simplicity, three different colors have been used, like the red line is showing the direction of current, the blue line is showing the direction of magnetic field, and obviously the green line, that is showing the direction in which the force is going to act on this current carrying conductor. Now how the direction is obtained, that we will see. With the help of a very important rule, we are able to determine the direction of the force acting on the current carrying conductor. So as I was telling you, that I will discuss the experiment again. So this is actually the experimental setup, in which the rod AB, aluminium rod AB, has been suspended with the help of wires in between the poles of a horseshoe shaped magnet. So this aluminium rod is the conductor and current is passing through it. So it has been kept in between the poles of the magnet. The magnet has its own magnetic field, and as soon current flows through this aluminium rod, it also starts behaving like a magnet. So obviously these two magnetic fields will interact, and what is going to happen, that we will try to understand. For this, let us refer to a similar setup. As you can see, again we are having a horseshoe shaped magnet in which the aluminium rod, in between the poles of this magnet, the aluminium rod has been hanged. There is a battery that will be the source of current, and we are given a provision to switch on and switch off this circuit, so that we are able to see what exactly happens when current is flowing through this circuit. Presently the switch is in off state. Let us switch it on. You can see the direction in which current starts flowing through the circuit. After current is flowing through the circuit, obviously through that aluminium rod, it will experience a force due to the interaction of the magnetic fields. And due to the interaction of the magnetic field, you can see there is displacement. Very quickly we can draw an observation that on passing current through a straight conductor, that is the aluminium rod kept in a magnetic field, the conductor gets displaced. It is getting displaced, and as per the present situation, it was getting displaced towards the left. So what inference can we draw? The direction of displacement of the conductor rod changes with change in the direction of current through it, and the displacement of aluminium rod is in accordance with Fleming's left hand rule. We will be discussing about Fleming's left hand rule very quickly, but for the time being you can refer to the picture that is coming right now on your screen. You can see the direction of current, the direction of field, and accordingly the direction of force. Presently it is directed upward. So as I was telling you, that depending upon the direction of the current flowing in the conductor and the magnetic field, due to the interaction of these two magnetic fields, we will get the equivalent force. So presently it is upward direction, and you saw that the rod was getting displaced towards the left. Let us switch it off. So as it was being said that when the direction of current is reversed, the rod should experience a force in the opposite direction. You can see that I have already changed the direction of current. Let us again switch it on. You can see the manner in which current is flowing through the circuit, and let us see how the rod gets displaced now. Obviously, again due to the interaction of the magnetic field, the rod should get displaced, and now you can see how it is getting displaced. Now, are you able to compare the direction of force with the previous case? Obviously, the force has changed its direction. In the previous case, it was directed upward. Now it is directed downward. The rod got displaced towards the right. So in passing current through the conductor, again it experienced a force due to which it got displaced. Since the direction of current was changed right now, so the direction of force has also changed. So now question arises, what are the conclusions that can be drawn from this experiment? So we draw some very important conclusions. If the direction of a current flowing through the conductor is reversed, the direction of force experienced by the conductor is also reversed, like the way we saw right now. Just like the direction of current plays an important role in reversing the direction of force, in deciding the direction of force, similarly, the direction of magnetic field also plays an important role in deciding the direction of force. So similarly, if the direction of magnetic field is reversed, then also the direction of force experienced by the conductor gets reversed. Force is maximum when direction of current is perpendicular to the direction of magnetic field, and it is zero if current flows in the same direction or opposite to applied magnetic field. Now these 2 points shall become pretty much clear to you when we see the magnitude of force acting on the conductor. Refer to this picture. The conductor, the current carrying conductor through which current I is flowing, has been kept in between the poles of a magnet. The direction of magnetic field is shown. Let us assume that the angle between the direction of magnetic field and current is given by theta. So obviously, due to the interaction of these two quantities, the field due to the current carrying conductor and the external applied field, there is a force, and the force is given by the formula F equal to QVB sin theta. Now V is the velocity, Q is the charge flowing, B is the strength of magnetic field, theta is the angle formed between the direction of magnetic field and current. So as velocity is given by length by time, the distance travelled by the charge, that should be equal to the length of the conductor, that is L, and the time taken, let us assume it to be T, then L by T will give the velocity. So Q L by T into B sin theta. Now Q by T, let us rearrange the terms. So we get F equal to Q by T LB sin theta. Charge by time, as we all know, is current. So we can replace Q by T by I. So F is equal to ILB sin theta. So we find that force, magnitude of force, is dependent on 4 terms. First, the current flowing through the conductor. Second, the length of the conductor. Third, strength of the magnetic field. And fourth, the angle formed between the direction of field and current. Or we can say that how the conductor has been kept in the field, the orientation of the conductor with respect to the magnetic field. So depending upon the manner in which the conductor has been kept in the magnetic field, the force acting on it should vary, as the expression tells us. Now you all have already studied trigonometry. You know what is sin theta, what is the maximum value of sin theta. The maximum value of sin theta is 1. When does this value become equal to 1? When theta is 90 degree. Now what is theta? Theta is the angle formed between the direction of field and current. So obviously, if the current carrying conductor has been kept at right angles to the direction of the external magnetic field, that is theta is equal to 90 degree, then the force acting on the conductor is going to be maximum. So force will assume a maximum value when theta is equal to 90 degree. So maximum value of force is equal to ILB, where I is current, L is the length of the conductor, and B is the strength of the magnetic field. If theta is equal to 0, that is the conductor has been kept in the same direction as that of the external applied field. So sin theta will be equal to 0, and in that case force will also be equal to 0. As it was said in this last point, that force acting on the conductor is 0 if current flows in the same direction or opposite to applied magnetic field. If it is flowing opposite to the applied magnetic field, in that case theta is equal to 180 degree, sin 180 degree is again equal to 0. So maximum force will be acting when the current carrying conductor has been kept perpendicular to the external magnetic field. Now talking about the direction of the magnetic field, that will be given by this rule. Just see how this rule helps us to determine the direction of the force acting on the current carrying conductor. You can see that with the help of 3 fingers of the left hand, 3 different directions have been shown. Refer to the picture in which the fingers are showing 3 different directions, and the adjoining picture in which the direction of field, current and force has been shown. So you can see that the forefinger is showing the direction of field, the central finger is showing the direction of current, and accordingly the thumb is giving the direction of force or motion. Obviously the direction in which force will be acting, in that direction motion is going to take place. So forefinger gives the direction of field, central finger gives the direction of current, then thumb gives the direction of force or motion. Now for this you have to stretch the 3 fingers of your left hand perpendicular to each other. They should be mutually perpendicular to each other. It's a 3-dimensional thing, so it will be a bit difficult to visualize, but if you are stretching the 3 fingers of your left hand perpendicular to each other such that the forefinger points in the direction of field, central finger in the direction of current, then thumb will show you the direction of force acting on the current carrying conductor, or you can say the direction in which motion is going to take place. So the direction of force or motion of a current carrying conductor in a magnetic field is given by Fleming's left hand rule. It states that if we hold the thumb, forefinger and middle finger of the left hand perpendicular to each other such that the forefinger points in the direction of magnetic field, the middle finger or the central finger points in the direction of current, then the thumb shows the direction of force or motion of the conductor. So this is a very important rule, and that helps us to understand or determine the direction in which force acting on the current carrying conductor is going to exist. So once again you can see, depending on the direction in which current is flowing, how displacement is going to take place. So you can refer to this picture, that depending upon the direction of the current, when current is 0, how there is no displacement, and depending on the direction of current, as soon as current starts flowing through the conductor, how the displacement is taking place. Now one question might arise, this force that I am talking about is primarily due to flow of charges. The current flow is due to flow of charges. So obviously this force is being experienced by the charges. So if we consider one particular charged particle and then it is moving in an external magnetic field, how that force can be visualized. Refer to this picture, in which you can see how the charged particle is experiencing a force with respect to the external magnetic field. Now obviously, if it is experiencing a force, then if we consider some more charged particles, there should be some movement depending upon the direction in which force is acting. So you can see there is a displacement taking place. I is showing the direction of current, L is the length of the conductor, B is showing the magnetic field. So you can see the direction of force, how the conductor is getting displaced. So maximum force when velocity is perpendicular to magnetic field. Why is it so? Because force is dependent on the angle. See, the value of force, as we had seen from that expression, F is equal to BIL sine theta. The expression for force was actually obtained from the expression QVB sine theta. So the direction of force is very much dependent on the angle. So this is maximum when theta is 90 degree. So accordingly, you can see the way force is going to act. So the manner in which the deflection may take place in a charged particle, that you can have some idea from this picture. So after observing all these pictures, we can draw some important conclusions. A beam of moving charged particles is equivalent to a current, hence a moving charged particle beam produces a magnetic field around it. Similarly, a beam of moving charged particles experiences a force when motion of charged particle is in a magnetic field. The force is maximum when a charged particle moves at right angles to the direction of magnetic field. The direction of magnetic field generated by a moving charge can be determined by applying right hand thumb rule. The direction of force experienced by a charged particle moving at right angle to the direction of a magnetic field is given by Fleming's left hand rule. While applying these laws, the direction of current may be taken as the direction of motion of positively charged particles, whether it is protons or alpha particles, but opposite to the direction of motion of negatively charged particles, for example, electrons. This was all regarding today's topic. We will try to apply this understanding in a very important application that will be discussed in our next class. How force acting on a current carrying conductor kept in a uniform magnetic field finds its application in our day-to-day life. That will be discussed in our next lesson. Thank you.